Alrighty, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is February 19th. Had to look at the date for a second. Monday. Let's do our Monday morning analysis. Our 4-hour sweep. Take an objective, non-biased look at the market. What's above us, what's below us, what happened, what's probably going to happen. Let's just get right into it. Buckhorn, good game. Good game, Buckhorn. It's still up on higher high up here still. As we get closer to that halving, we need to pay increasingly more attention to it probably. This time has been different so far than the last really 3 times, but especially the last 2. This has really been different this time. We didn't get as severe of a sell-off before the halving. It appears to be like the last 2 times. So I don't know. Watching it, this time's different. And I know there's been a lot of like fundamental shifts with like especially the ETF stuff. Like that's been a big thing as far as hope for the future of bringing in more money, basically, because that's what happens with it. That's what makes the price go up on a spot instrument. You have to bring in more money in and stay in, and the hope of the ETF having more access to capital overall for market cap is, it's a good thing. The reality is this time, this one hasn't sold off. Like we didn't get a deep, like capitulation kind of sell off. Capitulative. Is that a word? Capitulative. We didn't get a big sell off here this time before the halving. Normally it has a big, deep corrective move and then it starts early to run up through the halving for the big bull run. It's happened the last 2 times at least. A little different this time. So I don't know. As we get closer to that halving, we're going to watch it. Good game. It's up on the high as far as what do we do with it right now, which is kind of the point of this exercise, I guess. I mean, it's hard to justify buying it right now. That's just a reality. It's hard to justify buying this for a long-term investment. It depends on what your kind of risk appetite is. There's kind of a case to be made right now that this could potentially be like some kind of even a short-term range. This kind of looks like, it's kind of in a range, and this may be the top of it, sellers on the top, buyers on the bottom kind of thing. It just may not be the best idea to buy it. I feel like you say the same thing every week because we always get these pumps because the stock market's been doing the same thing. It's been running with the stock market. Stock market pumps up and it closes the week on the high, and it's like, well, it's not really a good idea to do anything with it. Then it sells off. Then it runs up again and it closes the week on the high, and then it sells off and it runs, what I'm saying? Same thing. Hold on. Sorry, I gotta yell at the dog. I don't know. We're watching this. We have to remember that there's a fundamental correlation with the U.S. equities market. It's just a thing. So as this continues to run up higher, you would expect that some of the same money that's buying Tesla, buying Nvidia, whatever it may be, buying Microsoft, it's just the same money that's also buying a little Bitcoin, buying a little Ethereum. It's the same stuff. It's Wall Street bets. It's not the weekend warriors anymore. It's the Wall Street bets crowd. It just is what it is. So there's this positive correlation with the U.S. equities market, specifically like tech stocks. So, and that's a good thing because it's predictable, and we've talked about this. You may not like that, but predictable is profitable. And as long as we understand what's going on, we can make money from it. So what we would expect, honestly, would be when this does roll over on the U.S. equities market, we would expect large cap crypto to at least follow a little bit. Now we do have this other circumstance with the halving. We have this other factor here that could affect that. So we're watching it. But as far as what do you do with it right now, probably spent more time on this than we needed to, just talking about it. But the reality is it's probably the top of a range right now. We're up on a higher high after a big pump. At some point it's likely to pull back a little bit. I don't know. We'll watch it. It's not a good long-term investment for me personally. I would look at this and be like, no, thank you. I'm not buying 52,000. And it's not the number. It's after this run up. Like this has already doubled in price over the last like 2 months. So I'm just not interested in that. It's about opportunity. Is there opportunity for growth on a higher high up near the all-time high? And, everybody has their own thing with that. Whether you're day trading it or long-term investing. Long-term investing, we'll just leave it alone. Day trading, there's probably a short coming, at least temporarily. And we'll watch that, but we'll re-explore that in a minute with the U.S. equities market because of where that is. So we were talking about some theory stuff here and in the group. Dollar hasn't quite made it down yet into this area. This is what we were looking for on Friday. Hasn't quite made it there yet. Got these untested buyers here, and it's dipped into the quote unquote block. I use big air quotes here. It has dipped down into this consolidation right here, really, where the activity's been. But we watch on the low end of this. I'd like for this to drop a little more. If this would do something like this, I would be much more interested in that right there, personally. So I don't know. We'll see what happens here. It's Monday, bank holiday, not much going on. It's President's Day today. We would expect a slow market. I don't know if I've already mentioned that yet since I started the video, but it is President's Day today. Shout out to the big guy. Whatever. It's a family day in Canada. It's bank holiday today, so we would expect it to be slow. Slower. That doesn't mean it'll be dead, though. Something will always move. It just may be slower. What do we do with this dollar here? I'd like for this to dip down a little bit. If it would like flash down, I would pick it up down here. We'll watch this. This may be something today, depending on what happens. But you can see where we are with it. It kind of appear like we had this consolidation, snapped up, made a new high. It's kind of scooping out like it wants to try again. That's a possibility. I wouldn't rule it out. We know that there's untested supply up here. We're kind of in a gap. We were in a gap and it sold off. I wouldn't rule that out. We know what we're looking at on the low end, on the way down and on the way up. We never resolved this level lower that I would have liked to have gotten right here. I really wanted that, and it never dipped to it. It just took off. So now we're kind of, there's a case to be made that we're kind of in this other consolidation. I don't know. It's subjective. I mean, you could look at it this way, possibly look at it this way. It's stepping up in consolidation. Now, here's the thing. Is this going to dip a little more before it goes looking to make another higher high? It's making higher highs, higher lows. As long as that's the case, there's no reason to bet against it. It looks like it's trying to go up right now. Like I said, the better entry would be if it would flash down and then wick back up or something and then go. That would be great. So we'll watch this for the dollar. Actually, what we're going to do, I'm going to send an alert right here. Well, maybe not. My poverty plan, Euro pound, I'll probably skip that. That's new. Change the alert, or change some stuff. So one good thing about TradingView is they do make changes often. They do work on the platform, which is good. So I'll put an alert here just in case this dips down into the level I'm interested in. Probably going to be interested in trying to catch a bounce out of there. So, and then on the way up, we'll watch it. So we had some previous center levels right here we were watching. Again, likely to be slow today. We'll see. We'll see what happens. There's a case to be made that your invalidation point's right here, right now. I wish it would dip lower, but we'll see. We'll watch it. Moving on. Yen. You'll probably already know what I'm going to say. Pains me to say it, but this is never going to be a long down here. I'm sorry. Whoa. Never going to be a short down here. It's only a long. It's only going to be a long. So, basically we got a lower low down here. It is what it is. We're basically pushing on the all-time low. This is just, it's never going to be a short for any reason. We're pushing the all-time low. I believe the Nikkei was up on the all-time high for reference, but as far as the yen itself, the yen as a currency index, it's only a matter of time before this lifts up off of that low. We've been watching this one. We keep catching it. We keep catching it. We caught it right here too. I know some people passed some accounts on that move right there. This move right here, I think we had 2 people pass challenges, catching that. We keep catching it, but it keeps coming back and breaking the low later. And now that it's back down on the low, it's just not a short. So if it's not a short, what is it? It's either no trade or long. And, down here like this is really starting to scoop out down here. Like, it's looking so good. Like, as far as opportunity is concerned, as far as probability is concerned, there's a much higher probability that this is going to come up than down from here. And that's what it's about. It's about relativity. From here, relative to where we currently are, what's the most likely outcome? And it's just never going to be a short. So we're only interested in longs here on the yen itself, and the segue into things like euro yen. This is only going to be a short. If the yen is likely to be stronger, at least temporarily, we're only looking for shorts on this. You know what I mean? Like, it's a no-brainer. Like, this is the easiest thing in history, like right here. It's the easiest thing ever. The decision-making part isn't hard. It's the risk management part with stuff like this. It's getting the right lot size and waiting, being persistent until you're correct. And then the one that goes, you'll get one of these big smackdown candles. It'll come up and fail, and then it's going to be gone. And it'll be like, well, yep, there it was. That was the short. We were right. Just didn't know it at the time, but we were right. Once that yen lifts up off of that low, this thing's done. Like, look at where this is. Look at this. To put this into perspective, we've talked about this for, I feel like, weeks or months at this point. Throughout this whole situation, every time we make a higher high right here, up here, every time it makes a higher high, we caught this short up here. If anybody remembers this, like, we nailed this up here, short. But now it's just worked its way back up. It's distributing up here. The yen is just refusing to pump, but it's not dying anymore either. It's in that kind of scenario where it's not dying anymore. It's not making lower lows, but it just hasn't lifted yet. And when it does, it would be completely normal for this to pull back. Even that's a tiny move relative to what could potentially happen. Like, there's only one way to trade this. So, it's really starting to look better here. Euro yen. Moving on, Aussie dollar. Pretty clean range here. We're back to the top of it. Caught this off the low. I think it was euro dollar and Aussie dollar last week. I don't have it marked, but basically took this trade right here and ended up really good. I closed mine early, but I stayed in euro dollar longer. We'll talk about that one in a second, but it's a good move. It already made the move, but now that we're just back up on the high, technically a range expansion too. We broke the low and broke the high at this point. We're really only interested in shorts on this. We'll watch it. Moving on. Euro dollar. Trade of the week last week. Got this within the spread. We hit the entry. It was less than 1 pip within the spread. It was the most accurate trade we took last week. Level was good. Good game. This is a really, really good potential trade. Then there was a second potential entry down here that just when it didn't have to take because the first one was right. The first level was good. Now that it's moved up a little bit, kind of back to the high, it would be normal for this to kind of pull back, and it has a little bit. can see it's like started to pull back and maybe get a little bit of distribution here. We'll see if it cuts through and continues or what. It's not a good long right now, especially after that. That was a rough candle that closed on that last 4 hour. Yeah, it's pretty bearish stuff. Rejecting off the top and, closing like that. Not great. We could probably adjust some of this and see what we're going to look at on just in its simplest form, just the last place where your sellers have been correct. We'll wait and see if it pokes up into there, but we'll see. We're expecting it to go higher, but we don't want to buy it now because there's a higher probability that there's going to be some kind of rejection here after this move, even if it's just a little distribution, even if it does cut through later, which it very well may. We don't want to buy it here. That's not an efficient way to trade. It's not good risk management. You're not giving yourself an edge. So we'll wait for that. Euro pound, that was a good move. Off the low. Good game there. We got that right last week. I just don't trade this pair much because it's so low volatility. It moves like 30 pips in a whole day. It's just not enough. You can make up for that with lot size by increasing your lot size. However, I use this more just for analysis, just to understand the dynamic between the euro and the pound, whether I should be leaning toward the euro or leaning toward the pound for another trade. Right now, probably expect some temporary upside on this. So the euro may be stronger than the pound coming up over the next 12-ish hours. Let me look at strength real quick. Yeah, looks like the euro is trending slightly stronger than the pound right now. Pound is the weakest currency currently. Very low volatility. There's not like any big moves going on, but the pound is the weakest currently. So that kind of makes sense for this to run up a little bit against the euro. Not really much to say here. If we're looking at longs, you may kind of shift your bias toward a euro long instead of a pound long. Euro CAD, good game off the low. Not much to say on this. It finally kind of scooped up and out. We had these lower low, lower low, lower low, higher low all of a sudden. So that transition is happening within this range. So, we'll wait for this to come back and try to catch another higher low. Maybe we get lucky and, catch 150 pips out of this on the way back up. Maybe it tries to scoop up a little bit. Other than that, we know what we're looking at on the low end. We're waiting for this to break the low. Very low vol. This is crazy. It's been weeks. Almost, yeah. This has been over a month. This has been over a month in this little tiny garbage range, little small bodied candles, very low volatility overall, very choppy intraday time frame. Terrible. This has been bad. Got a lot of this going on in the market right now. It's been very low volatility for a little while since the first of the year. The dollar's been very slow. The Euro CAD is probably the worst offender so far. Gotta be. Euro Kiwi. Wait for this to break the low. See what it looks like on a lower low. We got some levels we're looking at on the way down. It's not a short. You don't want to sell this. It's already down. Down, lower, high. It's just kind of squeezing in down here. Eventually, it's going to do one of these. So you start selling it, it'll pop back up like that. You start selling it down here, you might be in trouble. You don't want to sell into a very strong demand level, even after multiple tests. And it may eventually break through. But do you want to take that risk right now? Probably not. These are 4-hour candles. You got a lot of room for noise in here. Probably not a good idea. Leave that alone. It's not a short. It's not lined up for the long yet, but it's definitely not a short. What is this? We must have been talking about something. Big range here. Yeah, not much going on. Very low volatility going back to January. Yeah, basically you can see, we've been collared inside of this range. This section right here is just trash. I mean, it's just so low volatility. It somehow made it lower. But if you think about the journey it had to take to get down there, like this is very frustrating price action, like intraday. It's just not going anywhere. Somehow ended up a little bit lower, but not much. You know, talking about less than 100 pips. We'll see what happens when we get down here. But probably buy the bounce. Once it breaks that little swing low right there, we're good to go, man. This is probably going to do something like this. And that little move right there from boing, wherever it's going to do back into those sellers, that little move right there, 50 to 100 pips, easy money. Very high probability that there's going to be some reaction in here on the first test of those buyers. Good to go. We'll wait on that. That's going to be a thing. We'll see how that lines up. See how that lines up with the range tool when it happens. Might be on the hash too. Maybe we'll watch the absolute water line. That kind of looked like it was lining up on the hash. And get an alert here. Probably going to take that trade for a day trade. 1 second. Got to clear up some alerts here. Gold was from whoops. Got to cancel out some of these. You can only have up to 5, I believe. All right. So if that dips into there, I want to know about it. Probably going to bounce, maybe like a 4 to 8 hour bounce, which is money. Like that's all you need for that. That's a big day trade. With the right accuracy level, like that's a great trade. So we'll wait for that. We'll make sure it makes sense when it comes time. Not just going to blindly take it, but we'll triple check and make sure that everything's still lined up. Pound dollar. Man, this has been garbage for a very long time. This has just been such low volatility trash. Then it stepped down a little bit and now it's just doing the same crap. It's just not going anywhere. Predictable because of the range. You can see very clear structural break there, inflection point. It's not it. Probably going to go lower. We'll see if the dollar's bullish. Probably, we were already looking at that. It looks like the dollar's probably going to be bullish. So going back to pound dollar, it would make sense for this to come down a little bit. And it's just, the obvious stuff, the very obvious, very simple supply and demand, in its simplest form. We'll do strategy stuff on lower time frames, but we're just looking, where is this likely to have some kind of a major reaction out to the 4 hour or higher? Probably going to be lower. It would make sense for this to pull back, and that would be a higher low. If it came back and it did something like this and bounced, that would be consistent with higher lows as well. Maybe we're in this upside channel like this and we'll just wait for this to get lower. Very simple. Doesn't have to be difficult. Next, we'll see how that lines up with the lower time frame range strategy. Pound CAD didn't quite resolve higher there. Time is at 8:30. I don't think there's anything going on. Hold on, triple check. Celebrating the big guy today. President's Day. Lol. I bet he's gonna have ice cream today. What do you think? We should bet on what the Vegas odds are on that. Does Joe Biden have ice cream today for President's Day? The over under on flavors. Let's see. Kind of in the middle here. Not much to say. I mean, we had some sellers here. It never resolved. Good bounce here. This was expected. Going back into here, there's a reasonably strong supply demand level. Sorry. So that is normal that it would bounce. Just looking at higher time frame, what's likely, what zones are we likely to have some kind of reaction, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do on lower time frames. Not much to do. It's in the middle. Skip it. Same situation here, and it is Monday. It's Monday, and it's a banking holiday. There's a case to be made here for no trade between your swing high and your swing low, your local swing high and your local swing low. We're right dead smack in the middle. We talk about not trading from a neutral point because you want to give yourself a positional advantage where there's a higher probability of one direction moving than the other. And when you're trading from the center of a range or from the middle of a swing, some swing range, swing high and swing low, in between supply and demand levels, something like that. If you're right in the middle, there's no advantage here. Where there's not a higher probability that you're going to go one way or over the other. We talk about this every day. Major key, like DJ Khaled. Nothing to do here. It's neutral. As far as the overall macro, we know that pound yen's way up on. We know that this is a yen pair and it's going to be a short. Is it a good entry right now? Maybe not. If I had to choose, it's going to be a short every time, 100% of the time, because of where the yen is. Next, pound Aussie. Moving on. Waiting to see if this will go lower. We didn't get our levels on Friday. Caught it here. Good bounce. Didn't go very far. That was the first one. Now we're really waiting for our untested buyers. This is going to be a trade right here. We waited for this last week and just didn't get it yet. We didn't get the volatility. You see how tight this has been right here. It's the doji factory here. Just pumping out dojis like widgets, like Teslas. Speaking of that, Tesla's been killing it, man. They're really doing a good job at production. It's the one thing that people are missing about Tesla. The production technology. Anyway, I'm not going to get off track. But pumping these things out like Model Ys, which I think was the highest selling car in the world in 2023, was a Tesla. That was a surprise. They beat Ford. I think it was the Model Y or the Model 3. It was one of the two of them. Was the highest selling car in the world in 2023. People just want to forget about that like it didn't happen. That's a huge accomplishment. Normally, I think it's the F-150. The Ford F-150 truck has traditionally been the highest selling vehicle globally. And Tesla was the number one this year, from what I hear. Looking for this to come down, back on track. We're looking to break these swings right here. And as soon as we get into these untested buyers, we all know what to do. We got two levels that we're watching. I think there was a reason for this one, the second entry. We'll get into that and strategy stuff. I think I already know what this is. It's probably a previous center level. And it may dip to that and then bounce back out. But in here somewhere, if you look at this, there's a pretty reasonable chance, since this has not been tested yet, there's a reasonable chance that there will be some kind of mild reaction. How do we know it's not the bottom of a range that hasn't fully developed? And maybe we're going to go all the way up. Maybe we run all the way up to retest the high. Hundreds of pips. How do we know that? We don't know that yet, but we can take the risk on it. So, we'll see. We'll see if it bounces when it comes down. And if it breaks the low, this swing right here, we already know what we're doing. We're waiting for this, really. That's going to be money. That'll be a range expansion if that did happen. If it comes down and breaks that low after also breaking the high, that would be a range expansion away from equilibrium. And we'll try it here first, and it probably is going to bounce. But if it for some reason fails and ends up coming back down, we still know what to do. So we got some stuff coming. We have higher probability trades on the way, and we'll go over all this stuff in the group. We go over this stuff like in detail in the group and get ready for it, and we'll get it. We're going to be ready for that when it happens. Pound Aussie, it's coming. Pound New Zealand, same situation. I mean, it's going to go lower. There's kind of a gap here. We'll see. I mean, this one doesn't look as good. However, whenever you see something like this, you got that much downside in a row to break a low like that. It's not a short. Careful. This might flip back on you like this. You think it's going to go down and it doesn't break the low, and the next candle goes up like this and it pulls back and doesn't die, and then the next one goes up like this and you start to do this, and you're short from the bottom, getting wrecked because you shorted after it on a lower low after 2 weeks of downside. Careful with this. If this doesn't break that low, might be running back up. We'll watch the pound. Right now the pound is the weakest currency, but when that shifts and starts to kind of recover a little bit, maybe this comes up. We'll watch this candle. Still got I was gonna say we get a new 4-hour candle in like 30 minutes. This is interesting right here, because it hasn't broken the low yet, and if we get that inverted hammer on the bottom like that, that actually can be a sign of a reversal a lot of times. Especially normally it'll be bullish, like it'll pop up and it'll be like a bullish upside down hammer, inverted hammer on the bottom like that. That's generally a good sign. That means its price is trying to hold, and if it doesn't break this previous low like that, you would expect there to be some kind of upside here soon. So, and anecdotally, I mean, look how many, you really want to start selling that now after it broke the low down here on the bottom. Good luck. Much higher probability of upside than downside from here. And it's always about from here, relativity. Pound Aussie looked like that's probably going to dip a little bit and then bounce. Pound Kiwi, I could understand how this could either dip a little bit and bounce or hold and bounce. We'll see what, if this candle closes like this here in about 25 minutes, this may be something interesting to mess with. Let me mark this so we come back and look at it. Next, it's not great right now, but the problem with this stuff, especially this little consolidation right here, this is interesting to me. I like these because you get this dense consolidation, and what happens is you get a liquidity pool built just below that, and when it taps that, a lot of times it'll rip back the other way. Like you'll get, it's rotation, you'll get money underneath, you'll get a buildup of sell side liquidity underneath this little consolidation right here. We had this little dense, for like a day and a half or so. These are 4-hour candles. It had like almost 2 days of candles right here, sideways, built up, and you get a pool of liquidity built underneath that. Once we tap into that, we're very close to it. Like if it taps into that, a lot of times what will happen is shorts will close because they'll have the liquidity to do so, and you'll get that big snap off the low like that. Careful with this, man. Telling you, be careful shorting this kind of stuff, especially with this consolidation right here. This is a thing, trust me. We're going to watch this. If this doesn't break the low, it's going to be time to pay attention to it, because we're in it now, but hasn't quite tapped into there yet. Like it broke the low, but barely. This last candle did break that low of the consolidation. This is interesting right here. There's a thing here. We'll come back to that on Pound Kiwi. Don't be surprised if this starts ripping back up the other way. Next, CAD Yen. Crazy. It's up on the high again. I think this is a 17-year high, I believe. I think it was going back to like 2008 or something like that. 16 or something like that. Ridiculous. Completely crazy. And this is a yen pair, so we know that I hate to keep talking about the yen, but look at where it is. When's the last time you saw this be bullish? You really want to buy that? You sure? So choose wisely. Nothing really to say here. On the macro, it's about as dangerous as it could possibly be to be long here. We've already kind of sold off, gone flat into a consolidation. Scary, just in its simplest form. You got buyers down here. I would probably watch whatever the closest buyers were. Yeah, you would expect us to come down. We're going to expect that yen bounces this week. Yen, let me go back to the yen real quick. Yeah. And this would be consistent with and we talked about this, the yen being way down here and just starting to lift up. I mean, even this, if the yen even does that much, CAD yen's coming down. Euro yen's coming down. Pound yen's coming down. Look at all of them. They all look bearish AF. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's only a matter of time. So back to CAD yen. This one's in a very good place because it is on a higher high. This is a huge opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, right here. Huge opportunity on CAD yen. If you're able to sit through it, if you have the patience to keep fighting it and sit through it, you could be rewarded handsomely on this one. I love it. Love this. Wish I would have sold it on Friday. The high on Friday on the higher high was the answer. And it always is. I mean, you see the alert up there. What happened there? Did it not trigger? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That alert got that close is where I had the alert. It was that close and didn't trigger. Yikes. Jesus, dude. That was the short trigger to look at it. Wow, missed it. Interesting. All right, well, I guess we don't need that anymore. Close that out. Reclaim some of my alerts. Yeah, this just doesn't look good. Looks like it's stepping down. Yeah, so we'll watch this. Obviously, it's not a long. It's not the best short entry right now. I would try to sell bullish candles if you can. If you already have a longer term bias or a midterm bias, you want to try to fade the move if you can. Sell into bullish candles, buy into bearish candles, because you're already trusting the direction anyway. So you want to be as efficient as possible if you can. It's just a good practice. We'll watch it. But I think this is going to be a thing this week. Come on, yen. We want the yen to move this week. Maybe this is the week. We've been watching it for like a month. Keep catching it, and then it like breaks everybody's hearts and goes back to the low. We just haven't gotten the big trend yet. The big move off, the shift off the low on the yen as an index, as a currency index. But it's coming. Same thing here, Swiss yen. Ridiculous price action. Like, this is just crazy. Low volatility on the macro. Just tight range overall. And if you look at where this is, it's way up on the all-time high. This is basically continuously retesting the all-time high. And this is the all-time high on Swiss yen. It just keeps hitting the all-time high and not going anywhere, not breaking it. It started to make lower highs all of a sudden, which is interesting. It's just hard to trade it from the middle of a consolidation like this. It's not the most efficient entry short, but we're only looking for shorts because of where it is and where the yen is. We'll skip this one for now. You know, we know what we're looking at above us and below us. Nothing's changed. No reason to mess with it. Dollar CAD, good game here. That must have been something we were looking at lower time frames. Remember nailing that off that supply level. Waiting for this to break the low. Looks like the dollar. Take a sip of my coffee real quick. 1 second. This looks like this basically the same thing. This looks like the price action on the dollar. That's what I'm saying. The dollar looks like we're going to get some temporary upside. So back to dollar CAD. Just don't like it. This kind of stuff it's squeezing in on you like it's a range contraction. I don't really like trading in that kind of environment. You would expect less volatility until it snaps out. And a lot of times it'll go both ways. It'll snap out and expand. All of a sudden it'll break the high and then break the low as the market starts to expand. And, you know, it may get you first this way and then run down and then do this. Like, what we want is for the down move. and then maybe we get the bounce like that, and that would be reasonable. That would be consistent with higher lows. So if for some reason it does something like that and ends up holding, I could understand how maybe it could run up again or run to try to retest the high up here, maybe make a new high. Who knows? We'll have to watch the dollar and see what's going on there. Not really a great trade at the moment. Again, it's a President's Day today. Banking holiday. It looks like something from lower time frames. Moving on, S&P 500. What are we looking for here? What should we be prepared for this week? Man, that is not looking great. I mean, just right off the bat, just center mass rejection. Group side knows what we're talking about here. This is in real danger of rolling over short. Yeah. So we'll have to pay attention to this. It's just not looking great right now. We would obviously be looking for shorts coming off the all-time high. We're waiting for the party to be over here. Irrational exuberance is the word. The AI bubble is another way to describe it. We got an AI bubble, and then that release the other day of Solara or whatever it is didn't help. Holy crap. Like they did that on purpose. They like timed it on purpose. Right at the top of the market. They released like the craziest AI tool that's ever been developed. Jesus, man. Can't believe what I'm seeing. Like the speed of the development is just shocking. That's the real thing that's gotten me as a software engineer, as a programmer myself, a career technology person. The speed of the development is staggering. It's something that we've never seen before. How fast they're building these tools and how fast the technology is progressing. It makes you wonder, where we're really heading here in the next 10 to 20 years in our lifetime. It's getting to the point now where it's indistinguishable from reality. Today you could make a case in court where you can't trust video evidence anymore in a legal case. Prove to me that it wasn't AI. There's going to be huge business in validating and verifying the authenticity of video and everything, anything, things that we may not even, that haven't even been invented yet. Like authenticity is going to be a big business. Authenticating. Is this a human or is this AI? Is this a human or did a robot do this? Did a robot build this or did a human build it? And they may have two different values associated with those depending on who actually built it or who made this song or who painted this picture or who, you know what I'm saying? Like who made this movie? Was it AI or was it, a movie producer? And they may have two different values associated with those things based on whether or not it was a human or software. And we're heading into a world where, I don't know, we're not going to get into all that stuff. We talk about that stuff group side a lot of times, but crazy times out there. Anyway, talking about AI, the bubble, the AI bubble right now, and it's not really a long-term bubble. It's here to stay, but the current price bubble, we're talking about like NVIDIA holding the market up and Microsoft, Alphabet, Meta even, all the big players, Amazon, they're all in the same game, but there's a huge AI bubble right now, an AI craze. And that stupid video tool, it's not stupid. It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen, but that's Solara, I think it's called, that OpenAI, which is hilarious because it's nothing open about it. It's closed. It's a closed source company now, for profit. They just released this video tool that's just mind boggling. Honestly, it's scary. So that doesn't help, to release the coolest thing ever made with AI on the top when the market's on the top, and I know there's other companies here. We're talking about the S&P, but kind of getting off track, more of a NASDAQ conversation, but Still, same thing. We're way up on the top, back to price action. When is the party over? I think was kind of the core point there. When is the party over? It's obviously irrational exuberance. Valuations are ridiculous. It's absurd. We all know it. It's speculative investing, and that's great. That's what it's called, free market capitalism. It's good. It's how we make money. It's good. It's that people should be allowed to invest their money however they want, even if it's stupid, even if buying the top is not a smart thing to do. So when is the party over? This has already started to, we got a lower high technically. We'll see what happens here. Is this going to come down this week? We're looking, the point here, the overall point, as we talked about this at the end of the week last week, we're looking for a week or two in a row to the downside coming. Like if you look at the weekly candles, like it's only a matter of time before we get a down week. The whole weekly candle is red. It's coming. So are we going to do this first? You know what I mean? Are we going to run up for Monday, Tuesday, and then down for, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, close the week red? Are we going to run up here and close another week, bears in disbelief again? What's going to happen here? When is this done? We don't really have a lot of information here to figure that out. The one thing we do have is this big nasty candle, and it looks like it's trying to reject here. We'll watch this. Not much to say. We're in that distribution on the top. You can see it. You can see it coming. You can see it on the Dow. Right now, we're up on a higher high, and what tends to happen is it starts to distribute like this as the equalization of buyers and sellers, starts to get a little more equal, basically is the word, where you have closer to equal buyers and sellers instead of many more buyers than sellers, which is what pushed us up here to begin with. And we'll watch this. We're waiting for some confirmation that we're in a distribution, because then the next likely scenario is the lower highs will start. And when the lower highs start, people get spooked and start to take profit. So, we're watching this. We're looking for a distribution. I think that's going to be the key here. Looking for a distribution on the high. It looks like it's already starting. It looks like you have a higher probability short than long. I think that's like rhetorical at this point, given that we're likely at the top of a range here. Looking at the Dow, I know the Dow has different components, but speaking of which, what time is it? 8:51. We got time. Yeah, none of that's going to be open yet. We're closer to what could be perceived as the top of a range. A perceived range is the way I describe it. We haven't seen it fully develop yet, but it could be, you could infer that there's a potential for this to be a range, right? And if this is a range, maybe we're at the top of it, and maybe we're going to get that for the first couple days of the week. So I think that's a pretty good attempt, given where that is. The NASDAQ's already sold off, which is interesting. We caught the bounce on Friday. It's what this is. We caught the low, and it just didn't go very far. It went up a little bit. For a day trade, it was good. It just, we were looking to possibly retest the high. It didn't move. It popped and stayed there for the next, until the daily candle closed, basically. We do have a lower high here. Looking at the NAS, we had higher high, lower high all of a sudden. Same thing here, lower high. We'll see how far down we go. We may not be done yet. This may try to come up here and fail and then do that. It may come back and break that low. We'll see. It's just, it doesn't look like a short right now, but I don't know about buying it either. We'll have to look at it on lower time frames. We'll do that in a minute. Group side, we're looking at the macro right now. This is really, what's going on in the macro. What should we expect as the week progresses? What's happened? How did we close last week? What does it look like is going to happen over the next couple days? It's kind of what we're looking at right now. It's hard to say. It's already sold off. It appears that, like we were just talking about a second ago, there could potentially be this distribution up here where we're just kind of doing this. Like we might have a week of nothing. A week of stabilization and profit distribution on the high, where people are still trying to buy into it, but we have more sellers coming in as well because it's so high that people are saying, man, I should probably take some profit up here. And you get this kind of distribution sideways. It's psychology at work. You're watching the psychology print out on the chart, watching the decisions that people are making print out on the chart. Yeah, these are not really important levels. This is just lower time frame stuff, I think. Not much to say here. We'll look at it on lower time frames. Right now, very low volatility. I think the market's closed today anyway. Futures are going to be running, but I wouldn't expect anything insane to happen today. We'll see where that's at tomorrow. I think the overall point here with equities, the equities market in general, is we are likely in a distribution scenario up here. That would be completely normal. Some kind of expansive distribution where it might break a high and break a low, but it's really just going sideways. That kind of thing. That would be the likely scenario up here. Just the game theory of it, the game theory of the market cycle and the price action of it. Moving on. Oil, good game. Nailed it. Money murder. Nothing much to say. It's just still pushing on the high. We've been all over this one. It's been slow, but nailed it. Not much to say, man. Not much really to say. It's a range high. We're just kind of taking a look to see. It's going to be slow today. Let's see if there's anything to do. And there may be some currency things that we can do. Just expect a slower market. Celebrating the big guy today. President's Day. Probably shouldn't pick at him too much. Shouldn't pick on old man. Yeah, range high up here. This is something to watch. This was actually a good short on Friday. It did sell off pretty hard right there on that. But, if you look across here like this, just logic wise, no secret G13 classified strategy here. Like, just looking across the obvious logic of this is that, what if this is a range high? It is, clearly. So just logic states, we probably don't want to buy this here. You know what I mean? It's not a good long. So what do we do with it? It may not be a short yet. Sometimes it's like that. A lot of times, it's not a long, but it may not necessarily be a short yet. There's no real confirmation, but we're clearly not a long. Got a lot of rejections right here in this level. It's in danger zone right now here. So, probably not a good idea here to be long on oil. Skip it. We'll look at this on lower time frames. It would be normal for this to pull back. I would really like that right there. I think that's going to be your first untested buyers. That would be a broken low. Maybe we get some situation where this kind of rejects and does this, and maybe we have a red candle for the week and we end up down like that. That would actually be a very healthy move for oil. It would be cool if it broke the high first. I don't know how close we are to doing that. This would actually probably be a very good move that we could catch. That's not a bad bet. It's not a bad bet. Oil, we'll watch that. I think there's probably an opportunity here short. I think there's a pretty high probability that that's going to pull back at some point. We want it to go higher, but from here, we'll watch and see. If it did do that, I wouldn't be mad about it, and maybe we go higher later. Maybe we just go one more iteration inside of this, very clear upside channel that we got, and we'd be looking for the higher low. We'll watch it and see if it starts to come down. If oil starts to come down, this is probably going to be an easy trade. If there's a very clear rejection that closes something like that, you're going to be selling into the pullbacks. You're going to be, every time it pops up, you're selling into it to try to target down here, right here. We'll watch it. That's probably going to be something. Next. Moving on. So there's something right there that we could probably do early in the week. And I don't think that's as subject to the new, like President's Day as the equities market, at least. It may move, is what I'm saying. Gold. Good game. Got this the other day off the low. That was a good trade. We caught it long down here. I closed mine a little early, but holy crap, it went. It looked bad at the time. I think when this candle popped up, like I think I closed mine like right around this like 2005 level right there. I had a long at 2008, and I think I took a second position, and when it ran up, I like closed out of it. But yeah, good game on that. It went farther than it looked. It looked bad. And plus we got this level down here. This never got resolved. So this is interesting right here. It never fully cleared that out. What I wanted at the time last week was for this to come back and break that low and then go. I wanted long down here. If I could draw a clean line with this mouse. I wanted this to come back and barely break the low and then go for the rip. And it just ripped. It just went. So at least we got some of it. Not much to say here. I'll just wait. Probably it's probably going to end up. You would expect some kind of like distribution here. It may pop up and down and then end up here. But then what? It may pull back a little bit and do something like that. I could see something like that happening this week. If we do end up higher, there's a lot of rejections up here. I think it might be worth it to attempt the short as long as the dollar makes sense. We know that this runs pretty close to counter to the dollar, opposite end of the dollar index as far as direction is concerned. So we'll make sure it makes sense with the dollar. But, we got some, we got this kind of stuff. There's some buyers in here. If this dipped down a little bit, I could see it trying to pop back up into a range and then maybe breaking the high up here like this. But then as the week goes on, maybe we do get that resolution in there of this back here that never got resolved. Maybe. What if that did happen? Just lower high, lower low. We got to be ready for that kind of thing. That would make sense. That would be completely normal price action. So there's a possibility right there, but we'll wait to see if that pops up first. And if it rejects, we know what to do. We'll have a clear plan to be retesting the low. That would be the much higher probability move. Right now, probably going to dip back into that. There's a lot of volume right there, but maybe dip back into that and see if it holds. Aggressive, but maybe buying in here somewhere in there for the move to break the high. It's aggressive, but that's your thing. Nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. To be one of these things, so somewhere in that inflection point, there's this situation right here, somewhere into there. If that holds, I would say that would be your invalidation point, and it's aggressive. But if it did, maybe you get the low of the day down into here. Maybe it pops back up and holds, and we end up breaking the high, like tomorrow or something. It's not a bad idea. And then once you get up here, maybe it pulls back a little bit. Maybe you can catch it both ways. Not bad. We'll watch it and see if it makes sense. Actually, look at that lower time frames real quick. I'm just trying to figure out what we can do. What makes sense. Boy, that's messy. Yeah, I would look lower down into here. Lower that 4 hour, maybe previous center mass, hash this. If gold ended up down in there, that might be worth trying an aggressive play for the bounce. Makes sense. If it even makes it that far, but if for some reason it did, we got some confluence down here on the different levels. That makes sense. We'll see. Expect gold to run lower. The dollar's also bullish, so that would be consistent with downside in the dollar. If you look at the 4 hour on On gold, I'm sorry. If you look at the 4 hour on the dollar index, it feels like this is like a scoop and pop here. It's just kind of scooping out and wants to pop back up a little bit. And, maybe it has trouble with it. There's some rejections right here. Had some clear selling in this area right here. So maybe it pops up a little bit and then pops back down and does this kind of crap, but ends up higher. Who knows? It looks like it's trying to do the old scoop and pop. There's scoop and go. So that would be consistent with gold coming back down a little bit. How far? Who knows? I'd really like it right there. If it would retest that, that's money. That's money, dude. It may not make it that far. We'll see. Where would that line up? That'd be your low of the day. So, and this is the thing, we'll have to make this decision when it gets there. So that demand level down there also magically happens to be your projected low statistically. So, yep. We got the cheat codes. We just got to wait for the answers, basically. Looks great. Yeah, so we'll see. But probably going to buy the low of the day on gold. Might try it twice just in case it pops. We'll make sure that it makes sense at the time, see if it lines up with the dollar. And again, expecting lower volatility today, lower volume. Because of the holiday. So what's the Cliff's Notes here? Like, what's the prognosis, Doc? What's likely to happen in the future? Looks like the dollar wants to go a little bit. It's not really the best entry long, but it looks like it is going to go a little bit. So we'll expect a stronger dollar. That's going to be important as far as decision making. Come on, yen. Let's get this over with, man. Come on, yen. When is it coming? Where's the low? Are we going to end up making it back out of here, holding, getting the transition, higher lows, all of a sudden pop back out a little bit? Come on, man. So many huge opportunities here on the yen. We don't need to go through all of this again. Look at where euro yen is, pound yen, everything yen, CAD yen. It's just, these are all up on higher high. Like, this looks crazy. Like, huge opportunity. We all know that this is like, we're watching it unfold in slow motion. The opportunity is unfolding in slow motion. We all know that these trades are going to be good. We've been doing this for so long. We all know that these trades are good. We just got to get in with the right lot size in the right place and be able to manage it until it goes. We all know that it's going to go. It always does. We just got to deal with this until this yen decides to snap out of this depression that it's in. Like, come on, yen. Come on, man. That's the analysis on the yen is, come on, Craig. Come on, Craig. Get up, Craig. You live to fight another day. Come on. So dollar stuff, expect a little bit bullish dollar, probably short term, and it would actually make sense for this to run higher if you look at the structure of it. We made a big move, higher low, it came back. We can't count this out, that we might even end up the week up here on the dollar. How do we know it's not going to just break the high again? It's not a short. It's clearly not a short, so we need to be aware of that. What we really want on euro dollar, run through this again, we would love for that dollar to be bullish and for this to come down and knock that low one more time and get that run right there. Boy, that is money right there. This is the money trade. We've been waiting patiently for this. We haven't gotten it yet. Got it right the first time the other day. But if this did come back one more time, either retest the low and bounce or break the low and bounce, this trade right here is the one right here. This is the one. That's the one, euro dollar. It's just so clear. It's the cleanest thing on the chart. It just hasn't happened yet. I am very confident that trade is going to happen. and it is going to be a barn burner. Euro, Aussie, waiting for that stuff. Got alerts ready. Nothing to say there. Really the big stuff, like it looks like we're going to have a bullish dollar here over the next little bit. Come on, yen. Come on, man. That's all I have to say about that. Come on off that low, please. With the bullish dollar, we would expect some pullback in gold. We could expect at least some slowdown, maybe this kind of crap with a bullish dollar. So just be cautious with your longs on gold. That last candle wasn't great. It may have a little bit more to go down before it bounces with a stronger dollar. And expect chop. We got a level higher that makes sense. Got a couple levels higher actually that makes sense. This one too. I would say that's going to be a secondary right there. Once we get up into that, we'll see how that lines up with the high of the day, right on the hash mark to the money. So on to the pip. So we'll see on this. It's not it yet on gold. We'll watch the dollar. Stock market indices, kind of expecting a distribution, just to go over this again. A distribution on the high. It's not in a great spot for an entry right now. I think markets are closed today. Futures will be very slow. So really not much to say there. Basically, we're going to see if we can put some points on the board here today in some way without taking too much risk and get ready for tomorrow. Oil. It would be nice if this pulled back. We would be looking for this to finish out some kind of high of the day, possibly even break this little swing high right here, but then reject. And that rejection could be like a pretty good trade this week. There's a reasonable chance that happens given where we are right here. Without news, it's probably very unlikely that oil is just going to moon straight up and run all the way through there. That's probably pretty unlikely, right? So the more likely scenario is that it would, do something like this and then maybe try it again, but from a higher low. Try it again, but from a running start, that kind of thing. So we'll see if it does. If it runs up and we get a good strong high close here, might be worth it to try to take the road less traveled, take the contrarian viewpoint, try to catch the retracement short, the counter trend retracement for the higher low, and we know where we're looking at it for the buy back in. Probably a trade there on oil. Yeah, so what's the situation? Waiting for the yen to go bullish. See how far the dollar is going to run up today. I don't know. We'll take a look at stuff on lower time frames, but overall, I think we got a pretty good idea what we're looking at this week. It can change on a dime. We'll see what happens. I don't think we have much news this week to deal with. So we'll come back and see how close we were. There's always this initial analysis in the beginning of the week, and then we'll come back and see how right we were. Were we close? What did we get right? What changes that changes our analysis? You got to change with the markets. We have a good idea with the information we have right now. We got a good idea what's going to happen, but that can change in an instant. So got to change with it. I don't know, not much to say. I think we got it figured out. I'm going to take a look at some stuff, group side, lower time frames. Yeah, I don't know. Everybody have a good trading week. We'll check back in and see how we're doing here. Not really much to say. It's probably going to be a slower week news-wise. There's no big volatility events, really. Thursday will be filled with small things starting early in London. There's not really much going on news-wise. So it'll be a lot of price action trading, range highs and lows, range expansions, supply and demand, trading basic, just price action stuff because we don't really expect much volatility events. So yeah, that's what it's going to be. Everybody have a good trading week and we'll check back in.